Okay friends, let's take a look at Ethereum. What is Ethereum showing us at this moment? Overall, the picture is quite clear. Let's zoom in on the chart a bit and you'll see that we had a clear support level at one point, where we had the first test in July of 24. The second test, in fact, happened just a little later. After that, there was another squeeze test, point to point, and a doji candle acting as a rebound in the form of growth. However, after that, there was a breakout and then an even more beautiful retest before the further decline continued. Throughout all this, all technical analysis, any metrics, any factors indicated that the trend had shifted to a downward one and it was necessary to operate using short positions. But the crypto market keeps surprising us and does so quite actively. Let's see what happened after that. An avalanche-like surge. Literally a single upward green bar, and we saw a huge upward movement in Ethereum. An equally clear retest of this very same zone that we looked at, only this time not as resistance, like it was here, but just like before, cent to cent as support. Let's take a look. This was already the fourth test in a row. After that, there was a beautiful continuation of the growth. And in general, this can be summed up by the fact that all the liquidity below was taken out, all the stop losses. Moreover, after the liquidity was taken, there was a downward movement of as much as 34.7%, which is, well, truly a significant result. However, after the price returned to the chart and a clear retest, we see that the upper boundary of liquidity is being taken out, again with a huge number of tests. Let's take a look and zoom in on the chart a bit. So, liquidity. Here, we have the first liquidity formation and test. The second liquidity was formed right here. The third and fourth were here during two tests. And then there was a massive breakout as this liquidity was taken out, which in fact was located just beyond the upper boundary of this level. At the moment, we are approaching the historical high. Let's zoom out on the chart a bit. And on the daily time frame, we can see that we are already very, very close. The historical high is at around 4,800 and some change. Will this historical high be broken or not? Well, today we'll try to figure that out in this video. Be sure to subscribe to the Telegram channel. The link will be in the description in the pinned message. Check out our products, courses, technical analysis knowledge, and 7 years of experience in the crypto world. This is Alexi with you. Let's get started. Let's begin. Let's take a look at a very interesting chart that shows the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin. And on the chart, we have the 365-day moving average. How did this work in previous cycles? This moving average acted either as support or as a resistance level. Here we see it acting as support, and here again it acts as support. And here let's also note that the support was tested almost to the cent. However, after the breakout and some consolidation, it started acting as a resistance zone. Here we see it being tested again. And here as well, and once more almost to the cent, it was tested right here. After that, let's pay attention. There was the approval of the ETF. This is actually marked by a vertical line, specifically right here. What can we see at this point in time? First of all, this is a global chart. Accordingly, we're talking about some global time frames. We even have data from 2021 and 2020 on the chart. Nevertheless, there was a clear breakout of Ethereum relative to Bitcoin, and this breakout happened at this average level. Accordingly, we can see that every time after a breakout, the upward movement continues as long as we stay above this blue moving average. That's great news. We've noted this fact. Overall, this is extremely positive. And right away, let's take a look at the next very interesting chart. The resistance level has been broken. There's this sloping line that has been constantly pressing the price up against this resistance level. Then there was a clear breakout of this sloping line. We discussed this at the beginning, but now we've seen a return above this line and you could say a certain retest on the chart, which of course is a factor supporting further growth. And in fact, that's exactly what we're seeing right now. If we take a look, more or less, at the overall size of this triangle pattern, we can see that it is still valid. Accordingly, we can expect a similar magnitude as the breakout level, which means a mark of at least $10,000, 10,000 USDT per one Ethereum. This is of course a positive factor. In conclusion, I'd like to revisit the standard chart we looked at earlier, where a retest of the support level took place. And it might seem like that happened quite a while ago. However, it was actually very recent. That was in June of 2025. And this is the kind of active growth that Ethereum is showing relative to Bitcoin. The historical maximum is approaching, which without a doubt should be broken on the daily chart. There is certainly a huge amount of liquidity there, and I think it's worth setting targets at least at the edge of this accumulation zone. So, we have the boundaries of the accumulation zone, the upper and lower limits respectively, and the range between the support and resistance levels serves as a potential target. That is, we should see at least 8,000, although on another chart where we had a trend line, let's draw it again right here. Here is this trend line, a clear trend line. According to this chart, the target levels are even $10,000 per 1 Ethereum. Anyway, this is all about the long-term growth of Ethereum and the decline in Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at BTC by ND. The large-scale drop in Bitcoin dominance confirms this theory. Let's look at the trend line that was broken. And basically, our last retest was right here. Next, we actually did a retest of the previous low. Let's mark it. Support, bounce, breakout, retest as resistance, and continuation of the downward movement. The nearest target for Bitcoin dominance, I think, is at least the valid order block, which is located below the 46.8% Bitcoin dominance mark. In other words, we are expecting another large-scale downward movement in dominance, which will have an absolutely positive effect on all altcoins. Great news, friends! We are seeing an absolutely logical movement on the chart. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, check out our products, and see you soon on the channel.